Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another StarCraft 2 cast for the Last Player Standing StarCraft 2 Open number 2. My name is Kopo, and today we're going to be watching a PvT between Soloturtle, our pink Protoss up in the top right-hand corner, and vVvRuFF, our red Terran down in the bottom left-hand spawning position. Map, I do believe, is GSL Crevasse today. A map I'm sure, even though it's not in the ladder, I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with it. It is quite a fairly frequently played tournament map. I'm sure everybody's quite aware of this little mini expansion up here. It's got a couple mineral patches, one Vespian geyser. Seems like most often on this map you do see fast expansions, which can lead to fairly long macro games, especially in cross positions like these guys are. There's also some confusing stuff going on in the middle, but I'd hate to get into that because I would just confuse myself. So yeah, this is again for the last player standing, StarCraft 2 Open number 2. This is now round of 32 action, so we're dealing with best of 3s instead of a single elimination best of 1s. So you will be seeing some more videos up on our channel from this tournament as we progress through it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the content so far, and we'll continue to be bringing you more best of 3s as we cast them throughout tonight and later on tomorrow. So you see Soloturtle opens up with a 13 gateway, and I do believe we see a 12 refinery from, or not even 12 refinery, that's actually quite a very early refinery from vVvRuFF. Must be going for some early tech or some sort of early upgrade. I'm not sure what he's got planned there, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Instantly saturates it, so he's going for very, very early gassed. Drops his barracks on about 13 supply. Gas drops for Soloturtle now. His opening standard, whereas the Terran's opening so far is not. We'll keep an eye on either one of them. Appears to be going for an incredibly fast expansion. They're both going with at least some attacking units here. As we do see that once this gateway will finish, I do assume we'll probably see a zealot of some kind. A little bit of an attempt made to wall off here by Ruff. This destructible debris is here. It's got 1,000 hit points. Obviously it's there for mostly to prevent some early game rushes, but obviously in the mid to late game that gets destroyed fairly easily, and that ceases to become an issue. Cybernetics core is now dropped by the Protoss player. So see an orbital command beam morphed by Ruff. So far he hasn't done anything with his gas that he got so early. Still curious to see exactly where he's going with that. And we do see a very fast factory dropped. Maybe that might be some indication. Does appear to want to do some tech with that fast refinery as opposed to some quick upgrades. No fast stim for this guy, it looks like. So you see a reactor being dropped on that barracks. Cybernetics core is almost finished now, and I assume we'll see Warp Gate starting up right away. Yeah, again, neither player seems to be too concerned with taking this expansion, although we do see a probe moving up here, maybe to do just that. Yeah, according to that rally point, we probably will see a Nexus being dropped. No command center yet in the works, though, so that could allow the Protoss to be a little bit ahead in economy if he does drop that Nexus. Waiting for the 400 minerals there, and I do believe we'll see it. There we go. Perfect timing, almost right as soon as he got 400 minerals. Factory's almost done, reactor's done on the barracks now. Barracks is going to lift off and trade off, giving that reactor to the factory. I'm sure we'll see some just some normal red flame Hellions out of that. Obviously there's nothing else you can make out of a factory with a reactor, but he can produce them obviously twice as fast. So the Protoss hopefully is in a decent enough position to defend against some red flame Hellion harass. Although he doesn't appear to have a whole lot of units out by this point. He only has one gateway. Still chrono boosting out his warp gate though. See if he manages to drop some additional gateways to be able to hold off this early aggression by the looks of it. You see the barracks has built a tech lab now, but he so far hasn't built anything out of that, nor is he researching anything. I'm sure he's going to be planning on doing that sometime in the near future. So Nexus is about halfway done here. We'll see some economic advantage coming out of that. I'm sure the Hellions will be able to spot that if they can sneak by the front. Not that there's anything actually walling up the front, so it should be a simple matter for them to sneak up and see that the Protoss is expanding. No signs yet of the Terran gearing up to take any sort of a second base. I thought we might see that early expansion out. Bit of a supply block there for the Terran player on 27. Quite unfortunate, obviously. Maybe he's a little bit distracted. In either case, we do see a robotics facility going down for the Protoss. Looks like he's going the incredibly standard build of one gate robo. Not the greatest to hold off any sort of early aggression, which is what these 4 Hellions are coming down here to do. Hopefully he manages to defend with some stalkers. I don't believe he has any zealots out. Actually, this robo is not yet done. These probes are all going to get pretty much roasted by these Hellions if they keep continuing to line up like that. They're all going to just sit in the corner and wait to die basically by these Hellions. And one Protoss player kind of build he's going for here. He drops an additional gateway, but it won't be completed for a while. And these stalkers are going to go and they're going to chase away these Hellions, but not before they've done some incredible damage. He's still, I don't believe he spotted the expansion though. He didn't run his Hellions up there. He's actually just going to escape while they're all still fairly high in health. You see an SCV moving up here to drop that expansion command center. Great harass done by the Terran actually, if you want to look at the Let's see what my hotkeys are. Control R, perfect. 17 workers killed, 4 of the Terran players, as opposed to just the scout killed 4 Protoss. So obviously those Hellions were well worth the investment. So you see they're actually back to do a little bit of additional damage, but they're not going to kill much. They did finish to pick off the sentry. They're going to run up to this expansion, maybe take out a couple more probes. I don't see them being too effective. They're both fairly low on health. One goes down. This Hellion's continuing to be annoying, but it will go down to those stalkers. And that, well, he now knows the Protoss has an expansion, but he also knows that he killed enough probes to make that expansion hardly worthwhile for the time being. Protoss is going to have to sit back and build some more probes to recuperate while the Terran is free to macro up. As we see, 2 more barracks have been dropped and the starport's now going up. 2 reactor barracks, 1 tech lab. We're going to see some Marine Marauder hopefully out of this. I do believe the starport will probably lead to medvacs. Bio is a very effective way to go against Protoss, especially when the Protoss only has 3 stalkers in the sentry by this point. 1 pylon obviously went down too, unpowering the cybernetics core and the gateway, meaning that his unit producing capabilities are low for the time being. Observer being produced out of that robo facility, so you can see exactly what the Terran's got going on. Expansion command center now finished for the Terran player. Transfer some SCVs up there and get mining on those mineral patches. See some switching going on here. Starport got to land on that reactor immediately, probably begin pumping medvacs. I don't believe he'll produce Vikings. He has absolutely no reason to. So yeah, Terran player, supplies are still fairly even though the Terran player did some great harass on those probes. And now he's actually allowed the Protoss player to get back in the game with increasing the probe count again. He sat back and allowed the Protoss player to simply produce probes, not having to worry about any aggression because the Terran player isn't putting any on. Not that he has a whole lot of units to do so with, but he does have a couple Marines. I don't believe he has Stimpack research. No, Stimpack is almost done. But we do see 2 bases now up and running for the Terran player. And Protoss player has been able to regain the number of probes he has. If you look at the units counting area place, we have 26 SCVs to 33 probes. Obviously those mules will help even that out a little bit. But in terms of offensive units, 19 Marines and a couple medvacs versus 3 stalkers and a sentry. If the Terran player was able to push right now, I don't like the Protoss' chances. We see these medvacs are loaded up, preparing for some kind of a drop in the back, most likely. We do see that really that appears to be all of the Terran's forces. He's not leaving much back at home, just 1 fully loaded bunker. So hopefully he will manage to make this drop successful. Otherwise the Protoss might be able to use this to turn the game around. Another robotics bay being dropped here. Obviously he's intending to produce some Colossi. I don't know if this drop's been spotted by any observers. Let's see exactly what the reaction from the Protoss forces is. We have no reaction yet, and actually we're just seeing them dropped. Not on the high ground, not by the expansion, but actually on the low ground. I don't know if I like that idea. Obviously he does still have an overwhelming army though, but he could have dropped him up and basically taken down the expansion. He stims forward, picks off the sentry rather quickly, and the stalkers are very quickly going to go down. These Marines are actually doing huge amounts of damage versus most gateway units, especially if there's no zealots and force fields. And there's the GG by Soloturtle. He definitely, those Hellions did incredible damage against his worker line, and he was unable to rebuild it. And as a result, he didn't have any units to hold off that eventual push. So we will be coming back to see Game 2 of this series between Ruff and Soloturtle. This has been Copo, and hopefully you enjoyed the cast, and I will see you later.